Welcome back, everybody, to XCFL Primetime Action. It is Super Bowl 37 here with me in the booth today. I have Coach Boone. Coach Boone, how are you doing, sir?
This is shocking for me. Fantastic, guys. We're ready for Super Bowl action, and it actually looks like we're already underway. The Broncos have apparently scored, and it looks to be either a kickoff or a one-play touchdown. But with 7:12 left, Broncos are up 7-0 against Jack in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, crazy,
Fantastic day for us.
crazy play for the Broncos. It's a good old fashioned rematch of Super Bowl 22, where the Redskins, Doug Williams and company, took down John Elway's Broncos uh, back. My goodness, that would have been years, a lot of years ago. But it's a good little rematch here in the Super Bowl 37. And oh, it was a pick six. Paul Hawkinson threw an interception on the first play of the game, is what it was. It looks like.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, massive play there. You hate to see it. Hawkinson had a great game actually against Wings, just the other game that we were previously watching, and he throws out here to Mills, his tight end. Mills is getting a lot of action early on and in late games. He's had some really great red zone performances as well. Boone, I know you have some breaking news for us regarding this Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, so we have a big matchup today. Obviously, Higgy and his pretty solid run coming in against Tosh, beating him, moving on to Super Bowl against the very formidable Jack. However, I just got word from league office. In fact, Riley Reed, the wide receiver and icon for these Denver Broncos, has been suspended due to failing a drug test for PEDs. He will be ineligible for this game as well as the first game of the season next season. Again, that's Riley Reed will be suspended for this game and the first game of next season. Now, Riley Reed's impact will be felt, especially considering he'll be missing. Last game, he did come in with 4 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown against Tosh. And then in his divisional round, he did come up with 3 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown, but that's a big blow to lose a very potential Hall of Fame player in the biggest game of his career and possibly your cycle.
Wow, massive loss there for the Broncos. The defense is going to have to come in clutch. I know that they were a top 10 unit in the run and the pass, like you said before. Um, you know, that what are the implications of such? I know he's got Brian Blair still at receiver. What do you think is the biggest problem with losing a guy like Riley Reed?
Well, what's going to happen is your defense is there. We know the Broncos defense. Like I said last game, we were just here, top 10 across the board, right? But you're coming in against a very formidable defense and team in the Washington Redskins. Jack's a perennial player in the Super Bowl, but his defense is weakest against the pass. They're 26th in the league against the pass, right?
Well,
So
that's not
where
good.
you thought you were going to have the biggest advantage, where you thought you would have the biggest advantage on the field, you now lose a Hall of Fame potential player and one of your biggest contributors on offense. Reed accounted for, I believe, 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns this season, and you're losing that. And you do have Blair on the field, but we know that Jack has amazing cornerbacks and defensive backs, and you need someone else to step up. So what we're going to look for a Sean Klein and a Flanagan to kind of step up and kind of take that next step role. Klein did come into the season with 900 yards and 10 touchdowns. So maybe he steps up for you and have a big game, but it'll definitely be something to watch and keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, I think you said it best when Jack has great corners, and I think Jack will capitalize on this loss better than most could. He's really going to key in. He's going to key in on Brian Blair and everything like that. So, really looking forward to seeing how that defense counters the loss of Blair. Really rare to see, a suspension in the Super Bowl. Doesn't happen very often, but it's unfortunate that that, like you said, performance enhancing drugs, major step back for the potential Hall of Fame candidate, receiver, like you said. And is this going to be, in your opinion, do you think this is a black mark potentially on his Hall of Fame resume that he misses out on what could have been, because if they win, he's really at a loss here because if they lose, he's going to feel like it's on him. And if they win, that kind of says they didn't need him in the first place. So it's a lose-lose situation if you're Riley Reed as far as your legacy goes.
Yeah, for sure. But I think more so it's the missed opportunity to kind of have that cemented mark in your career where you could say, "Look, I went and got this Super Bowl." Especially when you're one of those receivers who's more so on the fringe. Like you can make an argument for him, but that doesn't mean he's a lock. He's not a Taj
Definitely.
Beverly, you know. But again, on the other side, you have two potential Hall of Fame cornerbacks in Mosley and in Zellner, both of which are amazing cornerbacks, and now only have to worry about one big threat as opposed to two big threats. So again, I think more so it hurts. It hurts Reed in the fact that you don't get to see him on the stage, so you never know what he could have done. You know, so this is one of those moments where it's just like opportunity missed, and that's probably the biggest hurt, the biggest downfall for him.
Definitely. And a nice play there on the stretch. Keith Lloyd, the big safety coming in run support, stopping him for a loss of yards, which on stretch plays are almost a given for this Redskins offense. This Redskins offense lives and breathes on the stretch runs in the red zone as well as some passes to the tight end. So those two are the things to watch, and they stuffed them here for a loss, forcing them to 3 points on their second drive of the game.
Right, and big shout out to Avocado. One of our, we've had a great cycle, honestly, of weightlifters that have really like taken to that weightlifter role, really stepped up and been active in the league, watching streams. So shout out to Avocado. He's back again for another broadcast. But honestly, I'm gonna say it. I think that Higgy can overcome this setback, and that kind of gives him the underdog role. Despite being 13-3, it gives him that underdog role and a little fuel to the fire. Maybe Brian Blair steps up and has 200 yards and cements his legacy as one of those premier moment players.
Yeah, and Brian Blair, to be honest, kind of had a bigger impact than Riley Reed in this last game. So I don't know if that was because Tosh's lockdown corner was covering him or what the reasoning was there, but for whatever reason, Riley Reed actually didn't have as big of an impact as Brian Blair. So maybe Brian Blair, like you said, kind of established himself as the number one receiver, and ever since coming over in a trade from Los Angeles, actually, from you, Blair's really been quite a receiver. Everyone knows him as the number 92 receiver, but everybody only knows him now as that fast mother blanker that you just can't cover.
So Brian Blair walks into the game despite not being the number one overall receiver. Last game he put up 11 catches, 182 yards, and three touchdowns. And then in the divisional round, he had 5 catches, 150 yards, and two touchdowns. So he's 6'2", 194, blazing fast, amazingly talented, and he's been in that moment before. So you want to see him step up, and I think he has the potential to do so. You know.
I agree entirely. I think you hit it right on the head. It's Brian Blair has every opportunity here to step up and prove himself. So don't look at it as a loss here for the Broncos offense. They just have to look at it as an opportunity to prove that they have other difference makers other than than the Riley Reed.
Yeah, for
So
sure, man. Like they have a good offense. Again, they're not a bad offense. They don't run the ball well, but they're not a bad offense. They're a very good team. Honestly, really balanced, a lot of talent all over the field. Drew is a very solid player. Klein is a capable receiver, 95 speed. He's 6'2". He's built just like Brian Blair,
yeah,
superstar dev. So why wouldn't you expect from him? Even though he's 25, he's a little young, little green, but maybe this is the birth of the next legend.
and I really wanted to shout out Higgy. I know we mentioned it in the previous stream, but Higgy is absolutely elite with his pocket movement. That is one of his biggest strengths, I think, on offense. And because I'm coming from the perspective of I'm all about speed at quarterback. I've had Lamar for the last 2 seasons or last 2 cycles. That's really my mantra. But a good user with quarterbacks without speed can still have good pocket mobility and pocket presence. So, shout out to Drew for really getting it done there. And oh my goodness, 2 back-to-back nasty spins for Craig Saunders, pushing forward
Oh,
for a gain of 15 yards.
and Craig Saunders didn't have the impact he was looking to have last year. I'm sorry, last game, and I definitely did hear some rumblings out of that locker room where he kind of wanted to have a little more impact, maybe take a little bit more of the load for them. So he definitely said he told me before the game, I'm looking to make a big play. I'm looking to be able to make my name known a little more around this league. I feel like I have the talent to do so. So Higgy said he was gonna try and get his guy involved and make him known around this league. So it's about his time.
It is, and he's got a good one-two punch there. He's got Devontre Landry, and and he has, like you said, Craig Saunders. So those two running backs really perform a good or create a good one-two punch there at the position. Looking forward to seeing how he uses them this game. First and 10 goes for a loss of 2, brings up second and 12. Here comes Drew in the pistol. Second and 12 from his own or from the opponent's 40-yard line. Has a good drive going so
Couple
far.
checks.
Run left, going to Craig. Craig goes down for after actually for another loss of 2, bringing up third and 14.
And so this Drew kid, right? He's improved every year. His interceptions are still high because he takes the chance. He's a very strong arm quarterback, 96 throw power, but he's only in his fourth year, maybe fifth year. He's 25. Do you think that he's looking at these lights, and you can see around the camera of the stadium right now, flashes are going off nonstop. Do you think this will kind of get to him a little bit?
This is the brightest of lights in the sport. The Super Bowl is a spectacle unlike any other. I think that yeah, there's absolutely a potential to to choke or to feel like you got to do too much. But he's a guy that's prepared for this moment. I know Blake Drew is a real know him off the field personally. He's a real kind of down home, relaxed guy. Not gonna be intimidated. Reminds me very cool, calm, and collected, almost like a Joe Flacco type of player. I know he played back in the
Oh
day
God.
for, I mean, very similar style, strong arm. I know, like, that might be a negative reference for some people, but I got a lot of respect for Joe
Hey,
Flacco. No, I got a lot of respect
are
for
you a
Joe
Ravens
Flacco.
fan in real life?
I am a Ravens fan in real life, yes, Boone. But I
Uh,
actually have no. Trust me,
that's
I
an
think Joe
argument for
Flacco is
another
kind of
day.
garbage. No, I think no. Okay, long story, but I have mad respect for his mindset. I think he's a killer in the playoffs, and I think that's what Drew is. Drew's kind of a gunslinger type. Really doesn't let the big moment get to him. And here's another big run by Craig Saunders. Saunders is quite a player. 4 rushes for 27 yards. Had a really good run so far, and I think it's improved their offense. Being more balanced. You got to be balanced against a guy like Jack in order to beat him.
Yeah, Jack is just not going to give you anything that you don't deserve. You really have to earn every single yard. So for them to possibly go up 14-3 on the heels of really good defensive play, this would definitely mean a lot, especially when you start the game without your number one offensive threat. I definitely think they're going to get some momentum rolling, but that halftime talk, that halftime speech, whatever you want to call it, that's going to play a big role.
I got a question. Who's the linebacker named Tyler? Is that his? It's like he's got a son out there or something. It's kind of funny. Go see
You said
his
the
Tyler. He's a
linebacker, his
middle
name is
linebacker.
actually Steven Tyler.
Steven
Steven
Tyler.
Tyler, responsible for 13 sacks this year, 41 tackles. So he's not his son, I don't believe. I don't remember reading that story. I might have missed it. Maybe a distant cousin, maybe
Jack
just somebody
Tyler.
with the same last name.
Yeah, that's funny because yeah, Jack's. Let me make sure I'm not having a complete brain fart right now. But Jack's last name is Tyler, isn't it?
It is Jack Tyler, yes.
I thought so. It's like that's. I saw Tyler. I was like, is that his son? But no, it's Steven Tyler, which is even also more ironic. And what a pass here,
Huge play by Flanagan. And
big
he
Flanagan.
made up for that drop pass last game right now by making that catch and that grab and
He
against a
does
very good hitting safety. So
in the Super Bowl, and these are the catches that we remember. We don't remember, the Dallas Cowboys tight end. Oh, I cannot his name spacing because I mean I don't remember him because of that. But he dropped a big pass. Great
Jason
guy.
Witten.
Well,
maybe.
no, it wasn't
Probably
Jason
Jason
Witten.
Witten.
It was a guy. It was throwback. It was like with Staubach. Staubach.
Oh, we talking old. Oh God,
Yeah,
no.
old school, real old school. He had like, I mean, great tight end, really loved teammate, but he dropped a huge pass on the goal line, in a playoff game. That's really what we remember him for. And I mean, I think that's a play that you want to prove yourself as a tight end and say, listen, I'm the alpha. Just throw it to me on the goal line. I'll make it happen. And no team really does that better than the Washington Redskins. So with their Mills is another one that's on the cusp of Hall of Fame status. Mad catches for touchdowns. Really a dominant threat in the red zone. He had some good targets here on that first drive. We'll see what we can do here on this second drive. They're down 11 points. What are you looking for here, Boone? It was not what we expected. Major jump out to a lead by these Broncos, and Jack's quickly playing catch up.
Yeah. I think Jack's just gonna stick with his offense. I don't think he's really feeling this pressure. Jack's been in these moments. He's been in so many Super Bowl games and so many big games. I think he just doesn't. They don't separate for him anymore. They all kind of run together. They're all the same kind of games. You just walk in and you try and win every game. You don't really feel that moment as much as most others do. So I think that Jack's pretty much going to stick to what he knows, and just keep holding true and trust that his game plan is going to see him through. Especially that second half. If you watch that game with Higgy against that second half, against Tosh, that second half, Tosh really had an upper hand on him, and Higgy came out a little weak, not as strong and as quick as he did again in the first half. So, you know that he's not necessarily a second half player. At least last week he wasn't. So you hope to have the same kind of effect when you make your adjustments. It looks like Higgy might be a little slow on the adjustments. So that's where you really look to capitalize. So if you keep it close, get it close, maybe go into the half 10-14, maybe you're looking at a whole different ballgame coming out of half.
Yeah, here's a pretty rough run there that ends up getting back to the line somehow after the fullback appeared to collide with the quarterback, Hawkinson. It looked like a miscommunication there on the blocking pattern, but he still gets the ball to his running back and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. You're kind of happy to not see a fumble there after such a drastic miscommunication.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hawkinson, I don't want to throw any shade at Hawkinson or anything because it's not his fault that Blair Triplett didn't throw the ball in my game when I coached him. But I no longer believe in any of Jack's quarterbacks. I don't care who they are. You could throw 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, and no picks. I don't believe you have it in you.
Completely lost all faith in every Redskins quarterback to ever
I'm
exist. Is that what I'm
scarred.
hearing?
I'm absolutely scarred. I'm freaking scarred. It's
You
like it's like
just,
watching freaking Alabama's quarterbacks. Like
oh
I see
yeah,
Nick Saban quarterbacks when I look at Jack's quarterbacks now.
that's hilarious. We'll see. I mean, Tua, ironically, you're going to be the
Is
Miami
my
Dolphins,
quarterback.
so you're going to have a Nick Saban quarterback. So good luck with that, my friend. Um,
Well, under my coaching tutelage, maybe he works out.
oh yeah, comparatively, I think the skills of Coach Boone are so much greater than that of Saban. You're just. I think that it's an easy contest. I mean, there's no contest. It's got to go to you. As far as coaching talent is concerned.
Well, I'm not gonna. I don't want to. I think that Saban is a fantastic coach. I just aspire to be like him one day.
All right, all right. I'm just, because I mean, it's all about putting your players in the right position to succeed. And I just think a Coach Boone can really make sure he puts his players in the right position to succeed.
Well, you hope. I haven't done it much this year.
Yep,
Been a
yep.
struggle.
I'm
And
curious though.
actually, we're watching. You know what's crazy? I just noticed something when Jack was
Hmm.
looking at the field. Um, Brian Blair is one of my receivers, and he's one that I developed when I got rid of his predecessor, who was actually playing for the Washington Redskins, and that's Gabriel Simmons. Boom. I got rid of Gabriel Simmons because I had Brian Blair.
Wow.
So let that sit there. That's
Quick
a little
question:
rivalry right there.
what did you get for in result of trading Brian Blair?
Um, I want to say I got a first round pick, maybe a second, and I think that ended up being one of my cornerbacks. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look, but I was moving receivers for seconds at first, and it was just fantastic. I think Blair ended up being a first.
Gotcha. Yeah, Blair had some pretty good speed to him, and ended up being quite a talent here for Denver. I mean, Higgy's one that'll love to trade away his firsts for for premier talent, because he's always in that lower tier of the first round, and one of the more aggressive ones is shopping his first. So, I know he probably got you there for sure. He's quite a salesman. He is.
Well,
You get,
it's just so easy to create them. Those 24, 23-year old superstar
it
94
is.
speed receivers. They come, a dime a dozen if you know what you're doing on offense.
That's true. I mean, the biggest thing is trying to find those 94 speed receivers, though. I mean, they don't come very often, at least for me. I have one guy that's, like 5'9", my little Hollywood junior, who totally let me down against Tosh, but
The
that's a
little
story for another day.
Italian stallion or whatever you call them.
No, that's Little Italy. That's another guy. This is
It's
no
not the
Hollywood
same guy. Oh
Junior.
Lord, have mercy.
Nah,
There's
Hollywood Junior
two.
is a different guy. Ooh, what a throw!
What an
Wow, how did that get
absolute
through?
dime.
Oh my goodness, what a
Maybe I'm a little
throw!
believer. Maybe he heard me. I think he might have heard
Maybe he
me.
did. Yeah, that's definitely what did it. He's like, listen, I understand the grievance that you have with triplet, and I'm going to assure you that I am no triplet. So throwing an absolute
P
dime
Hawk.
into, I mean, through threading the needle to every extent of the word. Washington coming roaring back to close the lead 10-14 and kicking it off with a minute and 50 seconds left. The defense has to hold here before the half.
And P Hawk, again, we've talked about these kind of players earlier. Another Hall of Fame hopeful who's had a fantastic career. And I just, again, you're on the field right now and you're looking at all the potential stars. Do you think it's killing Riley Reid to not be able to be out there for his team, looking at all these players making these names and having these moments? He can't be a part of it.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, at the end of the day, that falls back on him. I think you got to know what the PED rules are. You got to know what you can have in your body and what you can't. At the end of the day, you're responsible for what is in your bloodstream. I think that it's unfortunate. And I think we've had players in the past, really elite players, kind of go through that where they might have taken some Adderall that they were prescribed, by a doctor. I mean, you got to know. You're a professional. This is your job. You got to know what you can and can't do as a player. And, at the end of the day, it just kind of falls back on Riley.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. But with that being said, though, Brian Blair, looking at the opportunity to step up and have that Iron Man type performance, 3 catches, I believe he's at 60 yards so far in the first half.
He
He's
is.
off to a good start. Drew has relied on him and leaned on him. I'm really curious to see how Drew responds to being able to have the ball here. They have the ball after half. You have that opportunity for that rare double dip, and you're holding a lot of the weight because you're missing your guy.
Definitely. And I think it's making you feel good with what you see so far. I think that you're proud of the performance that you've seen from your offense, sans Riley Reid. So I think that Brian Blair and company have really stepped up. Blake Drew, obviously your signal caller is the most important part of your offense. So for Blake Drew to still be running out there, that is the most important part of this offense. And he's got the tandem of the running back duo. And here's Drew looking to pass. Ooh, brutal pass into double coverage. And that's a pick. You cannot see that here. Was in position to potentially get 3 and go up to a 24-10 lead. But right now he's looking at 14-10 with Jack having the ball on the 27-yard line and 3 timeouts.
And that's a
19
rough one.
seconds.
Now, he did find number 22, but you saw number 1 around there. And anyone who knows or has been in this XCFL knows that number 1 is reserved for Jack's best corner. So it's not somewhere you want to find yourself squeezing a ball into. Pause.
Speaking of squeezing the ball, my goodness, that was a dot in between the man coverage and the deep safety on the wheel route. What a pass. He's at the 49-yard line, 13 seconds and 2 timeouts. Jack is just flowing right now. He is in the
And
zone.
the middle of the field is open. You see Gabriel Simmons right there on that slot, number 17. That's my guy. I trust and believe in him. He will be open. Safety's going to go.
Ooh, but he is using the
Oof,
safety. Hawkinson wanted to throw it.
big time sack.
That is a huge sack. That's the same guy that actually forced the strip sack that iced the game in Cleveland. Number 90. Do you mind researching him? I don't have any stats on him on my end. Great
Number
defensive
90,
lineman
that's
though.
on the Broncos.
Yes, sir. He would not
All
be
right,
playing
let's take a
receiver,
look at
Boone,
who's the
because he's
Broncos.
not on your team. Number 90, you're like, so
Let's
that's a
take a look.
receiver, right? And I'm like, no, nope, that is a
Yeah,
defensive lineman, my friend.
that's a receiver. That's
Yeah,
absolutely a receiver in my book.
man, huge
Or
play though.
69 is a receiver as well.
69, yeah, unless it's, but that's reserved for the great Doss, right?
Devontae Doss. Yes,
Devontre, the
absolutely.
goat.
Ooh, big sack by
Yeah,
Cunningham to end the half and hold
another
yourself from
sack.
getting any more points.
And Cunningham was actually the one that recovered that strip fumble. So those two, that tag tandem of number 90, the unknown giant, and Cunningham, like you said. So those two really creating a 1-2 punch there on the defensive line for Denver.
Yeah, so let's look at number 90 here. We're going to go to the roster of these Broncos and try and take a look and see what we see.
Yep, fast forwarding into the
Number
future,
90 is going to be at the bottom. All
we're
right, number 90
kicking
is going to be
off.
Mr. Luke Wood. He's actually going to be a defensive end, 26 years old, star Dev. Just signed a 6-year contract worth $60 million. So we just got a
Wow,
big payday. He was worth 10 sacks this year, 14 last year. So he's definitely a significant part of that defense. A big major portion of that defense, honestly.
good
At
deal.
6'5", 273, he's no little kid. Definitely a big role. So
Sounds like it. And here's that, like you said, the opportunity to double dip. They avoided the potential of giving up points there at the half after the crucial interception. But here they are stepping back up into the driver's seat on offense. Blake Drew coming out, leading this offense to what they would hope is points on this drive. Here he is, Blake Drew dropping back, having the drag underneath. He hits it and cuts outside of the
there's our guy
linebacker.
Klein.
Yep, there it
Now,
is.
what you like to see, Drew is sitting there with confidence. He's taking his time. He's not forcing the ball. He took a chance there because he knew he was getting the ball back at the half. But he's taking his time. He's surveying the field, and he's responding well after throwing the pick. So you like to see that out of the young quarterback.
When's the last time we've seen such a star-studded cast here on the field? It's got Steven Tyler here that isn't in the halftime show. He's actually on the field. We have Riley Reed, also not
Oh,
in.
that hurts.
That
Why
is.
did the running back cut up field? He had no one on him.
I mean, he just stood out in that white paint area and said, "All right, this is good enough for me." I mean, and he fell down too. It
Oh,
wasn't like he. I mean, to add insult to injury, he's like, "Yep, coach, I did a toe tap. Aren't you proud?"
man, Saunders drops the ball there on a big play. Okay, that
He
could have
had
been.
so much space. He had so much space in front of him. Probably 20, 30 yards to run without even being touched. That's one that Drew is just gonna probably see in his nightmares tonight if they don't end up pulling this out. Oh, and you want to talk about a nightmare?
Widemer is
Yep.
just that he's always around the ball. We talked about him last game. He definitely makes a lot of plays for this defense. He's a big time player, man.
You want to talk about nightmares for those quarterbacks at night, man? You think about guys like Widemer coming off the edge. He's deadly. Winters, Widemer, they create quite a deadly tandem. And here they go. Drew looking to pass. Has a man open deep and in triple coverage
Again,
again.
we spotlighted the guy number
Mosley.
one.
Yep.
He's near the top of everyone's Hall of Fame ballot. Top corner in this league and has been since he walked in. I've tried to make multiple trades with this guy. Mosley is not someone you want to deal with. That number one jersey on Jack's defense should not be tested. Every number one jersey has made the Hall of Fame in the last 2 to 3 years. He's probably going to walk into the Hall of Fame. So 3 straight number ones. Let's stop messing with the number one on Jack's team, okay?
Arguably the two best corners of the cycle here, in Mosley and obviously with Zellner. Zellner's up there as well, but I'm talking about actually Titus Shaw of the Denver Broncos. Titus Shaw is a deadly threat and really in very strong consideration for the Hall of Fame. I know he is in the most outstanding player award ballot as well. Had 9 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. This guy, it might have been 3 actually, 2 to 3 touchdowns, something crazy like that. I mean, he was a touchdown machine, a pick machine, lots of tackles. This guy's the real deal at corner, that Titus Shaw. Ever since getting drafted in the 5th round, really made a name for himself here in Denver. Blazing speed corner, really can cover anybody in the league. And that is, very similar style to Mosley as he's just an elite defender that was home built, bred, and groomed, here in in the place that he started his career.
Yeah, definitely. He's been a number one player for this team, a leader on and off the field. He's been everything you could have ever imagined out of your team or out of a leader for your defense. But I'm gonna be honest. If I'm picking the number one corner of the cycle, I gotta go with that guy. Shout out to JMO. His guy Harding has
Wow,
been on an absolute tear since he's walked into the league and
bold
has
take.
shot up the list. He shot up the list in 7 years. He shot up the list to catch players that have been in the league for 10 years in picks almost. That's how good that guy is. So let's when we're naming top corners, and even though three of them are playing in this game, let's not forget to mention that guy Harding on JMO's Colts. Okay.
Gotta agree. Do not disrespect the man. And what a play. I love seeing that kind of a route, those curls. The tight end just kind of sits down in that soft spot, catches a nice pass. Ian Mills, that's what he does.
Yeah, we mentioned it before the game. I mean, we talked about it and just overall his impact on this team. Jack's able to spread it out everywhere, but Ian Mills pulls in 1,300 yards and 19 touchdowns. So he's above the average tight end. He's elite almost.
Absolutely. And here is Pratt with the run. Only gets about 1 yard on the play. He had an outstanding game against Wings and the Cardinals, pushing forward, getting extra yards, doing everything he really needed to do, and actually slammed into the end zone for a game-winning touchdown to push them up 35-21 late in the game. Love to see that from your lead back, especially in a Jack offense. You need that power back. And here's Hawkinson rolling left, not the fastest guy, but has the dump off. Oh, and a massive user strip. Higgy was trying to hit those all game, actually against Tosh. Couldn't get a single one to fall, and finally gets one in his favor here against the receiver, number 19. I believe that's your guy, isn't it, Boone?
That's Gregory. No,
Oh,
no, we don't
oh,
believe in that nonsense. That's
all right.
Kawhi Gregory. Okay,
Kawhi Gregory, yeah,
my
the Virginia
guy
Tech
would
prospect,
not
though.
put him in that type of position.
Not,
Gabriel Simmons complete those.
yeah, Kawhi Gregory actually was a Virginia Tech prospect, so that's kind of a cool story. Jack started his career actually at Virginia Tech and then moved to the Washington Redskins franchise. Coach Jack Tyler, or no, actually he'd be the GM, I suppose, because he's got uh, his corner from last year, Fairley. Spencer Fairley is actually the one who's coaching his team. Coach Fairley is a one-time Super Bowl winner this cycle and won, I think, two, if I'm not mistaken, last cycle. Do you remember how many he had last? I think he had one,
I
one,
believe he
one or
only had
two.
one last year. He had one
Okay.
this year.
Yeah, Jack. Now it's kind of funny though, because Jack is known for giving up some Super Bowls to the underdogs. I mean, that was how I won my first Super Bowl, honestly. Was Jack. I came up against Jack, and I don't think he had much tape on me, and I surprised him with a couple play calls and ended up securing the dub. So Higgy kind of came out in the same way, jumped out to that quick 14-3 lead, and Jack's kind of played it safe since then. He's got some tape on him, figured out what he needed to do, and Higgy changing up the
Yeah,
play
so
at the
Jack
line.
has 4 rings. He has 4 rings. Three, I'm sorry, two this year, one last year, and one the year before that. So over 3 years, 3 cycles, 3 different Maddens, he has 4 rings, and it's one
Gotcha.
in every single cycle. So
All right, and Drew coming out in the spread formation again in the pistol. He likes this formation today and switches it up. Interesting play call here to disguise the front. And here it is, a run with Landry. It achieves what he wanted it to and gets a run about 1st and 10. These guys that do this where they kind of come out in a different formation at the beginning and then switch on you, brilliant move, as that it really secures a different look than perhaps they would have gotten if they had come out in a different formation. Here it is again, the four
yeah,
wide
and not
receiver look.
only not only do you get to see what the defense is working with, but you get to throw them off guard. So it gives you a good chance to survey it and kind of evaluate what you should do or what you can do. Now he
Oh,
probably should have cut that one up inside of the tackle, as he saw the linebackers playing really aggressive to get that outside route, and Jack is really good at that because he's a lot of fast linebackers. So
Yeah,
you
Halleck.
might want to start trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah, what a play. I mean, I haven't seen somebody blaze in that quickly on the jet sweep. Great play by Nick Halleck to slam that one for a loss of two. Drew looking to hand
Obviously, you don't
off.
watch a guy named Riley Kane in San Francisco. So
I don't. I don't run a lot of jet sweeps though against Nick. Nick's somebody you kind of got to just run the ball right up the gut and hope for the best because he always, always comes out. And he loves the 3-3-5, loves the dig dime, things like that. Dollar sets. So, you gotta run against him and run it right up his mouth. The and here it is
wait a
again.
minute, what is going on here?
Yeah, they love this pistol, the pistol spread again coming down the pistol spread. This is it's an interesting tactic because he's changed it. He's changed it. Oh, it isn't the pistol spread. Excuse me. It's the it's a 5 out. But um, is I was really kind of fascinated with that because he came out several times in the pistol spread almost as like a clouded formation in order to call his real play in the audible. Really a smart move, and I mean something that we might see. I mean, it's complicated and it takes some time because you do have to change your audible on the fly. But have you ever done that, Boone? I actually haven't. I've tried it on a couple plays. Like, I really wanted to come out in like an I form, and then switch into the formation that has two tight ends and a running back, and then two wide receivers. Like the gun spread, that one, like it's a Patriots formation, I think, where it has two tight ends out to the right, and then so it's like a 2-2, a 2-1-2 setup.
So I don't have many formations with two tight ends because I don't have two tight ends. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. I
Gotcha.
certainly
Okay.
don't have a shotgun with it or a pistol with it.
Okay. Yeah. No. That's okay. Gotcha. I was just curious because it's an interesting formation. I wondered if I could do that. If I'd be able to switch it. But it's a smart move. And I love the.
Well, as long as the personnel matches up, you can audible into it, and it would definitely be effective. But you really need the right route combinations for what you first call is gonna invoke the other player to call.
Definitely, that's true. So it does take quite a bit of strategic. Oh, what a pass! Yikes! Okay, that was gross. Cortland Thornton, no, what's his name? Kirkland. I think Kirkland actually. Kirkland Thornton. I should know because I'm the one that drafted him.
Kirkland Thornton,
Yep,
yes,
Kirkland
Kirkland
Thornton.
Thornton.
Yep, big man, 6'3", number 29. He did wear number. Let me see. Yeah, he was 29 for me too. So he's a massive
Fourth
man.
interception. I'm sorry, this is fifth technically on the year, but he has four interceptions on the season, three forced fumbles. Mister Do It All safety up there in tackles for the team behind Titus Shaw. So
Yep, that's a tough pass, dude. I don't know. I mean, I would not personally throw that pass, but Jack might have seen something that we didn't. And here's a cut outside with Saunders, and Saunders can't quite get the edge. Great play there by number 52 for the Redskins.
yeah, absolutely. He got
That's Brackens.
yeah. Wings chiming in and letting us know, he's got to at least get three here, trying to push us to a 7 point game. But you know what? The way that defense has been playing, you almost trust them. Honestly, I feel
Yeah,
comfortable. You held Jack to 10 points, while your offense hasn't been efficient. You've been able to stop them on multiple occasions via pick six, interception, forced fumble. Your defense is winning this game for you.
I would agree entirely. Um, like Wing said, he has to at least get six here or three here. So I would agree. I mean, I think you push forward, get that six. And here's an interesting delay of game. Maybe a way
Maybe you didn't
to.
like what you saw.
Yeah, that's possible. And he just is confident in his offense that, he can at least get it back into a field goal range. So that might have been him saying, all right, I don't like that look. Let's just go ahead and settle for field goal range because he wants the three timeouts more, I think.
And guys, take a moment. This may be the last time we see that Redskins logo in the Super Bowl end zone.
It might be. It might be. Yeah.
It'll probably be another Washington logo. It'll probably be in the Super Bowl again, but the Redskins one won't be there.
Yep. Crazy to think about, huh?
And Blair with some crafty wide receiver route running because he bumps into the middle linebacker, moves around him, still finds an open space, and attacks the ball. Huge play by Blair. Just he's being the man for them today, and he's really stepping up and filling this Roddy Reed, hole that he's left in the offense.
I agree entirely. I think he's playing a great game, um, and he's establishing himself as the number one receiver. I think he's really saying, Coach, I know I've learned from Riley all these years, but I am just as good and just as talented. And I think partially that's credit to you, Boone. Great job building him into what he is. And here's another going to be a drag route. Yep. And there it is, going
It's
left.
Klein. That's Klein.
That is
Now,
Klein.
I want you to notice something. We talked about it earlier. You spoke about how you want to try an audible. That formation that he had with the two tight ends, two wide receivers, and a running back, it created a man coverage situation because Jack saw the single back, the two wide receivers. He feels more comfortable running the man. He feels more comfortable, stepping up. So if you audible into a more pass happy formation, you can get a better, more favorable defensive lineup.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant move.
And this is a huge moment right here because if you score a touchdown as time is ticking, and you really let the time tick at this point, I'm not calling a hike until 10 seconds.
Definitely. This is, it's a very similar sort of situation, I think.
So right there, he breaks outside, and we talked about it earlier. Jack is all over the outside because that's a very popular thing to do in this league. You have to understand when you see that coverage, you can set the run up to the outside. That inside is going to be open. That cutback
It is.
upside inside your tackle or your guard. That's open because Jack is getting out there to stop that. So you start outside and bounce right up inside. You stick your foot in the ground and you go. You have a touchdown.
I will admit it sort of was, but at the same time, it's probably going to be a run, most likely, because of the way he spread those defensive linemen. Oh, never mind. It's this play where this is going to be a post route and a corner. It's post corner concept. Wow, what a play.
Holy smoke. That's a huge play. Very unfortunate for Jack because he played that perfectly. He
He
had
did.
it stopped.
That was probably going to be
And
a pick,
you
too. That was,
sometimes
his
it's just not
defense,
your day.
his defensive player was all over that, wearing the number 21. Wow. That is wildly unfortunate.
That's Zellner. Zellner makes that bat down and just
Yep,
the
swats
ball
it.
doesn't hit the
Yep.
ground and hits his receiver's hands.
Oh man, that's rare. That's one that I don't know what to say. You just kind of shake your head if you're.
Sometimes it's not your day. Again, it miracle runs. You don't have your number one receiver, and Higgy took the challenge. And Brian Blair and Drew have stepped in. Saunders has been huge. He doesn't have the yards to be like, okay, I have 150 yards. He's been huge, big plays, big holes.
Yeah, I think he's been playing great. I think that's all you can really ask for. They've done everything that you'd want and more. I think this Denver offense and really the defense. We mentioned it at the beginning. I said the defense is still there. That top 10 unit, the defense is fantastic. They're playing great. Really an elite unit that has established themselves as stopping one of the more effective offenses in the league here in Jack. So, 21 points, that is the goal, I think. And here it is. Ooh, what a terrible pass. That's just not
Oh,
there.
that's a big mistake.
That's just not there.
Again, I just think that Jack is a little off right now, a little out of sorts because in that play when he gives it to the tight end on the left hand side, he could have gotten out of bounds in my opinion, and he decided to just try and cut up field and get more yards. Where you could stop the clock and have the time to run the play and set it up how you want instead of trying to hike it to avoid the clock running.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's one of those plays that I don't want to say rushed. I think he's rattled. Like you said, and he might be a little frustrated. That's tough. You watch a
No,
play.
it's definitely frustration. You watch a tip ball go for a touchdown to put someone up 11. That's irritating as hell. And there it is. That's ball game.
Yeah, that is ball game. And Craig Saunders making it happen with the
Slow
slow
clap.
clap
I
too.
love it. I
Wow.
love it. Slow clap. I love it. So look, that was a fantastic play right there for Saunders to step up. He said he wanted to make an impact. He did it. Big shout out to Higgy. It looks like he's gonna win this game, barring a miracle. He played a hell of a game,
He did.
hell of a postseason. Put on a show for us, Jack. Outstanding gameplay. Sometimes Madden's just not on your side. You don't get the right bounces, and that's tough. That's tough.
And shout out to Drew. I mean, Blake Drew, what a game. No picks. Wait.
No,
All right,
Blake
he
Drew
might
threw
have
two
thrown one
picks.
pick or two
He threw
picks.
two.
Oh,
I
all right,
believe
never
so.
mind.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, shout out to him for a great game, but I mean, yeah, it really wasn't. I don't know if I give the credit necessarily to Drew on this game. I think that it's, I put it on the defense. I think the defense has just played fantastic. I think the receivers stepped up as well. I think they really rallied around Riley. You know, when Reed stepped out and he made a mistake and admitted it. You know, I think the receivers really, like I said, swarmed around him and said, you know what, this is, oh my
Huge.
goodness,
And there he is, the man, the myth, the legend,
Titus
the
Shaw.
possible Hall of Famer, Titus Shaw with another interception. These Broncos defense has come up with, I believe, 4 or 5
Five turnovers.
turnovers, be it a pick six, I think 3 more interceptions, and
Yep.
a forced fumble.
Yep. The
They've been
user strip,
huge.
they've played great. I think you got to go hats off to them. And Jack,
Yeah.
Jack's saying, you know what, I'm going down swinging, which I respect. I mean, it's some people would be like, at least like and lose with dignity, good sir. But to me, that is dignity. Going out and punching. You want to go out punching. You don't want to go out, and just kneeling it out. I mean, you want to at least take some shots and try and reestablish yourself and establish your dynasty. What were you about? What was this season about? And maybe go back and think about this in the off season and really try to get better.
Yeah, I definitely think Jack is obviously a very strong favorite to come back again next year. I don't see why the hell he wouldn't. Higgy's team is fantastic. We know that. They performed well above anyone's, I think, expectations just because of what we expect with Tosh and Jack. We kind of assume them to be the Super Bowl matchup, but he came in against a lot of odds and said, "Hold on, I'm here too. I matter. Hold on now. I had a 13-3 season. Respect that."
Yeah, I agree. I think he has potential to really be um, this can go down in history as one of the better runs, I think. And it's ironic. I mean, Higgy's done this twice in a cycle, or twice in both cycles now, where late season or late cycle, he makes a run, acquires some pretty key players through trades by trading away his first round picks, usually late firsts for good players. And we saw it again. I think he did the exact same thing. Blazing speed, pretty good defense. I mean, this was probably a better defense than he fielded last cycle as the Chiefs. But I mean, he did the exact. It's kind of funny. It's the same thing. Late cycle, making a push, and last cycle it was the last season of the cycle, but really the last like normal season, because this next, I'm interested to see, Boone. I'm kind of want your opinion on this. How do you think the Legends will change next season as our last season of the
So
cycle?
obviously, we try and push for these guys who are more recent to be in there. You're definitely getting a fucking ton of names out of this year just because of the sheer amount of seasons we had. It's gonna be really easy to field those guys that weren't necessarily in the draft to put on the team. Um, we're gonna see some names fall, but that's what truly makes a legend. This is where you want to be with your player's career, right? You want that guy to live for years, like a Barry Brooks. That
Yeah,
name's gonna live for years. We're going to know Barry Brooks in 4 Maddens because he was simply that good. So
definitely.
if your guy can make it to the first year, don't get me wrong, it's a hell of an accomplishment. But for your guy to be there 2, 3, 4 Maddens later, that transcends different generations of XCFL players, and that's what's going to be big. You're going to have guys in there, and one of the guys is probably going to be like a Taj Beverly because he was simply damn near unguardable. You're going to have a Harding or a Zellner. You're going to have a Riley Kane. You're going to have a Ahmad Bates.
A Titus Shaw.
Especially in positions that don't get a whole lot of love, like defensive tackle. We only had one of those guys. Ahmad Bates is going to be in there because he was damn near a prototype of that guy. So these are just things you look at and you really hope to see people strive for, because not everybody gets the Super Bowl. Not everybody gets that. I was fortunate enough to get one this year, Miracle Run. You were fortunate enough to get your second,
Yep.
and it was probably rewarding because you felt like you should have gotten one with this team, and you have to. Your team was stacked to start,
Yeah.
but not everybody gets that. So for those who don't, this Legends draft or this Hall of Fame that may be your pinnacle. You have a guy like Brackett who may not have won a whole lot. He had some wins. He's looking at, possibly getting Baby Shark in there. And Baby Shark's had a fantastic XCFL career.
See, my question is
Endless touchdowns.
when does he get upgraded to Daddy Shark? He's been Baby Shark for quite a while. I mean, I don't know if he is that something that is. I mean, I might have missed the reference, but I'm just wondering
Well,
why
okay,
he's
so the
still.
reference was, and it was coined by Robert. Um, Rob came up with it because the last name Corcoran is the name of Barbara Corcoran, the
Oh
lady who
yeah,
plays on
yeah,
Shark
yeah, Shark
Tank,
Tank.
hence the name Baby Shark. So,
Yeah.
son, it fit. It worked really well. So he could be Daddy Shark when he has another Corcoran come in the league, who is his son, possibly next year. We'll see what
Ooh.
Brackett wants to do with that. But
Well, how about that?
all in all, it was a fantastic game. Big shout out to Higgy. Higgy has had a phenomenal postseason run, phenomenal, exciting games. Despite having the PED suspension to Riley Reed, he managed to put together again a miracle almost, even though I thought it would happen, a miracle run given he was fighting against the odds. So big shout out to Higgy. Shout out to Jack for being just this great user that we've always seen. So it was awesome, man.
Absolutely. I want to try to get Higgy on for a post game interview and see if we can interview him on his perspective on this win and what this means to him and for his career. Hopefully we can get him in here. If not, we will probably go ahead and shut it down. We're at 1 a.m. I know it's pretty late. But I'd love to we love to, if possible, we like to get the winners on so they can kind of say their piece, and he will be coming on.
Yeah, for sure. And Wings has a good point. He's got to win some games to be called Daddy Shark. That's fairly
Yes, to win
that's
some
pretty
games.
fair. But
That
what
is
I will
fair.
say is what Higgy just did was put himself into a different air of conversation for owners. Now,
Yeah,
obviously, I think the top two that we've ever had, and maybe three, if you
it's
want to
not a
make it
fluke.
three, you're probably looking at Tosh, Jack, and I guess you could put Brent in there. Brent has 4 rings. But there's only like 7 users who have more than 1 ring, right? That's you, that's Nick, that's now Higgy. There's not a whole lot of users with more than 1 ring. So not only getting a ring is important, he has a second, right? And he's one
Definitely.
of
And
those
in two
he's one of those
cycles
coaches.
and
He's one of
multi
those coaches, and I
cycles.
tip my hat to him. He doesn't give up. A lot of people have packed their bags and walked out on this cycle. I am one of them who's not ready, who gets really down, especially early on. So for him to keep playing, and you can get your ring. It's possible.
Yeah,
So hats off to him, man. He played his ass off, and he got his second ring, and he's put himself in a different conversation.
he did. I mean, great game. I think he really like you said, played his ass off. Looking forward to him coming on here, and I know you'll have some great questions for him as to what this win means to him and for his legacy, and and who he'd love to see in the XCFL Hall of Fame arguments. I know Shaw's up there. We've talked about him. That's Hall of Fame is definitely around the corner for us. And at this point in the cycle, it's pretty rare for guys to make their career, make or break a career and a and make a late cycle, especially last season Hall of Fame run. But I would love to see, hear from his perspective who he thinks has, put that together and put those careers together on his team.
Yeah, obviously we know of Shaw. He's probably gonna put Reed out there, and oh, he needs you to put the limit up on the chat so he can come on in.
Oh
Right now,
shoot,
it's not letting him in. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to come into a 2-man room when there's already
that
two
is
people in there. So
true. Let's go ahead and meet you and me. Let's go ahead and switch over because for whatever reason, I think only the league owner can change this. I don't know why I can't change this anymore, at least not on my laptop. So
So you
let's
want
just
to
go
jump to
meet.
stat or not general?
We'll go to general real quick. Wait. Hey. Okay, Higgy, stay here. Boone. Maybe Boone will get the message. All right, Boone. Yep, we're
I
good.
saw it.
Yep, we
I
got
saw
three.
it.
We're
All
good,
right.
man. All right, Higgy, can you
Hey
hear us,
Higgy,
sir?
man.
Yeah, man, I can hear you guys. What's going on?
Fucking congrats, man. Good shit. Good win.
Thanks.
So how does it feel getting your second ring? You know, kind of separating yourself from a lot of the other coaches in this league, mainly the trash Brian. You know, guys like that.
Yeah, you got to lose like 7 rings. You got to lose like 7 Super Bowls, and then only win one out of like 5 to 10. To be Brian level. That apparently is like poor Brian. I mean, imagine getting to like 6 Super Bowls and only winning one.
Yeah. No, I've been to 3, 1, 2. I feel pretty good about it. I mean, obviously, I had some plays go my way. The tip touchdown. I mean, that's Madden. You know, it is what it is. The tipped interception. You know, I got a little lucky with the it, but I mean, in my opinion, it was a bad read. You could argue that my linebackers probably should have picked it off. So I felt like I played pretty good all around.
Definitely.
I went in with the Riley Reed suspension. I went in and I was just going to run first. I mean, Blake Drew was pretty good. I mean, threw a couple picks, but he really only passed for 141 yards, but 73% completion rating, and Saunders pretty much carried us. So it was pretty all around good game from my team.
Yeah, it was definitely a good. I felt like a good balanced win for you guys because you didn't have to rely on the pass. I know you had Brian Blair there for you, but I definitely saw Craig Saunders making some plays. And obviously, your defense stepped up huge for you. So, what was the game plan that you think? You're missing Riley Reed. Who was your game plan walking into it? How did it change from walking in like, okay, well, I don't have my main guy, or how did that change from what you saw on the field to what you thought you were going to see?
Well, you know, I knew going into it that I had to run the ball because I mean we know how Jack's corners are. Once I heard about the Riley Reed deal, that really made me. I had to I had to force the run even when it wasn't working. I mean, I love some Brian Blair, but it's a lot easier to get the pass game going when I got two guys like him, but it's a lot harder when you just got one. So I tried to just pass when it was there, and for the most part, it worked out. I had a couple bad reads that luckily my defense played well enough that it didn't really come back to haunt me. But overall, game plan worked out. I was able to get the run game going just enough to eat up some clock, and my defense made the plays when it mattered.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, I definitely I want to tip my hat to you. I think your defense played freaking outstanding, man. Like they were all
Definitely.
over the place, making plays for you left and right.
Led by
So
Shaw.
I kind of want to ask you. You know, you're looking at this Jack offense and this Pratt running back. At first, it looked like he was really gonna like kind of get off to a good start. He's making some pretty big runs, just some bruising runs. What did you do specifically? What did you think you had to do to kind of slow his offense down to kind of keep him out of the game? Because you held him to 10 points for a very long time.
It was just a bend don't break style. I mean, clearly my AFC Championship game and my Super Bowl game was against two of, I mean, probably the top two users in the league when you look at what they've accomplished. And I knew that I was the underdog, but I also knew if you look at our team, just a team together, I mean, I thought my defense had the advantage in both games. So I knew that if I just hung in there, he'd get his yards running a little bit. And if I just played a little bend don't break style and just give up field goals, that I'd be okay. And for the most part, I mean, they played really well, only giving up one touchdown.
All right, so let me ask you, who do you have as your MVP for this game?
Um, Man, that's a tough one. I want to give it to Saunders because the man stepped up and did what he needed to do. But honestly, dude, Blake Drew, 2 interceptions, and he still hung in there, and he led the offense down the field multiple times. I mean, we had a little luck on our side, but he put us there in position to have a shot. And most quarterbacks like him, first time in a big game like that, nobody talking about him. Most would have caved after that second int, but he stayed in there and he kept playing. So I'm gonna call him because without that guy, I don't think we win this game.
Yeah, I think his play was absolutely huge. So let me ask you, you have a couple players on this roster who, are possibly looking at some gold jackets in the future, mainly Riley Reed, Titus Shaw. Do you think that your team has anybody that you think should really kind of like has a chance to be on the outskirts of that argument or maybe step up here coming into this last season?
Um, I think Brian Blair, you can maybe argue he's had some fantastic years these past few years. He came on a little late. He had a slow development early on when I got him in the trade, but I think he's one you could watch out for to maybe be talked about. I'll tell you one of my just secret weapons on defense that nobody talks about, but I've had a couple really good offers for him, and I just can't let him go. Is Keith Lloyd, my free safety? I mean, he's no fancy overall, no fancy dev trade or anything, but he's got just phenomenal zone coverage and just you know, plays outstanding and is a really key piece to my defense. I don't think he's put up the stats to really get any awards, but he's definitely an unsung hero for us.
I think another, I
Yeah,
mean, a really good point about Keith Lloyd is I remember the most important play that I saw in that game was that first drive of Jack. Well, I guess it was the second because he threw an interception on the first, but the second drive when he went down the field and only scored a field goal. That was a really critical drive, I think, for establishing the tone of the game. And it was a stretch play, and it was a stretch going left. And stretches are pretty money for Jack. Nobody really stops him in the red zone. It's his bread and butter. And Keith Lloyd actually stepped up from the safety position and slides around the edge and actually slams him for a loss of two, forcing him to kick a field goal on a 4th and 4. I agree. I think he makes those kind of plays that you'll just see one tackle for loss, but in reality, that might have been the play that established the flow of the game because that allowed you to jump out to the 14-3 lead on the next drive for you offensively. So I agree 100%. Great point about Keith Lloyd.
Yeah, he's a very clutch player, very consistent. He does lack, the fancy stats, but I mean, we got a pretty star-studded defense, and so Shaw and some of those other guys might get the picks, but he steps up in some big moments.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
definitely
glad to
big
see
time
Thornton step
player.
up. Thornton had a good game, had that interception, the diving INT, good play for him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's been solid for me as well. Even Titus Shaw's got a that man played fantastic, but we come to expect that out of him. I mean, he's really the leader of the team. Could also make an argument, that he could deserve player of the game. But we had so many guys play so well that it's really hard to just choose one.
Definitely. And I think it's rare that a trade, that was a blockbuster trade when I took Hollywood back, and some would say you kind of wrecked me. But you and I kind of won that, I think, both of us, because we ended up getting Super Bowl rings back to back. Hollywood really was a key part of my offense, and I think that the two players that I traded you were massive parts of your defense this year. If you don't mind me speaking for you, but because you got Thornton, and you also got Slauson, and Slauson was kind of an unsung hero those last few years, and always hit regression. But it's always critical to have that tough stud linebacker in the middle of your defense.
Yeah, he's a key piece there in the middle. We're really happy to have him, and I do think that trade was good for both parties. You started out a little slow with Hollywood. I don't think you're happy quite at the beginning, but he's kind of went back to what we thought you would have in the first place, and he's done pretty well for you.
Definitely. And I mean, it really, at the end of the day, it was more about the backlash that I immediately got because you got him for such a deal previously. But I think that, I had no leverage in that deal, and that's kind of how it is in trade talks. If you make it clear that you want a player, it's smart to get everything you can from him. And, again, I mean, you want to talk about trade. I mean, we have a lot of potential trades here because you had Brian Blair that actually came over from LA. Isn't that correct?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yep.
Yeah, another great
Yeah, that
player on the
man is
offense
an
for you.
absolute stud.
Do you think, curious,
Yeah.
Yeah.
me and Boone were talking about this actually in the broadcast. Do you think Brian Blair is this his coming out party to officially usurp Riley Reed as the number one receiver in Denver?
It very well could be. I mean, Reed's getting a little. He's getting older. I don't know if we'll see his first year of regression or not this year. He actually just hit a chip right before I got the word of his suspension. He actually got a +1 speed too, so that made it sting even worse. But Blair's been very, very consistent for me, and after this performance in this game, I think he's at least deserved the shot.
Yeah, I think Blair's been huge for you, in this playoff run. Because I think I wrote down some of his games, and he put up almost 300 yards in the divisional and the conference championship. So
Yeah,
let
he
me ask you:
killed
you have a
Tosh.
lot of pieces. You have a lot of pieces. You have some decent youth on the team. Let me ask you: what are the chances that you feel like you could possibly make a repeat of this next year?
It's so hard to do it. I mean, only a couple guys in this league have done repeats, and I'm going to say the chances are pretty slim. I mean, if you ask anybody else, I mean, nobody had me sitting here talking with you guys after this game. So I'm going to do my best, continue to play my game, and we'll see how it turns out.
I
Definitely.
love
I
it.
think you I
Love it.
think you came into that game as a massive underdog, and I think you proved a lot of people wrong. I think with your team, and I mean, I was joking with Boone. I said, you did this exact same thing last cycle. It's to us who've been here in Madden 19. This is no new experience. We've seen Higgy come in at the end and say, and establish your dominance here late when all the other guys are kind of getting older. That's really when you make some key trades, some key moves, build up that roster and make a final push. And we saw it here. And I think that, your roster was built to win now, and you accomplished everything that you possibly could have this cycle. So, congratulations, sir. And really, really glad you could come on with us and get interviewed. We like to give you your moment to shine. Is there anything you'd like to say to, any last minute, like, middle fingers, or, you want to throw somebody, as you're leaving out, like, peace, I mean, like, this is your platform, sir. Anything you want to say?
uh, no, I'm just happy to be a part of this league. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I'm just happy to be here, man. And winning this that's just a bonus. That's not what it's about. So this league's about so much more than that. So I'm just happy to be here. Appreciate y'all.
Definitely, bro. We appreciate you. Give give Robert our regards tomorrow morning. I know he's gonna be probably thrilled with the strut you're walking in with. Like, hey, Rob, kiss this second ring, and he'd be like, oh my gosh, it's another one of those mornings, it seems. But buy him some donuts for us, because Lord knows he'll probably need him tomorrow with the recap. I'm sure you'll kind of give him the play-by-play, because Lord knows he was asleep probably, 3 hours ago?
Oh yeah, maybe earlier than that.
Nice. Are you gonna play it like on repeat at work, like on a TV behind you? Like the film from the game.
I might. We're the only two in our office, and we got a big TV in there, so I might just put it on repeat.
Oh man. Reliving the
Perfect.
highlights. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. All right, man. Well, Boone, do you have any more questions for our reigning Super Bowl champ? It's kind of cool. I get to hand the mantle to you, Higgy, as reigning Super Bowl champ. So enjoy that number one spot schedule. Enjoy everybody coming for your throat. It's
Ah.
a blast. I had the worst schedule of my life this cycle. Of basically my entire Madden career, this season was just brutal. I had so many good players on my or so many good users on my schedule. So enjoy that. That'll be fun. But Boone, do you have any questions for him?
Nah, man. Just congratulations. It was a fantastic game. I appreciate you for giving us something exciting to broadcast, and just congratulations, man. You played a hell of a game, especially that Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for streaming it. You guys did awesome.
Absolutely, Higgs. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and really glad you're a part of this league, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. All right, Boone. Well, that was our reigning Super Bowl champion. Really glad, and congratulations to our Super Bowl MVP Blake Drew, as nominated by his coach. So that is our Super Bowl MVP, getting that brand new Kia or whatever we give out, in
We,
our
we, we give
world.
out scooters here. We give out
Scooter,
Razor
you get a
scooters,
bird scooter that we
and yes,
stole off the
yes. So our
sidewalk.
budget's not. Yeah, our budget's not very high
We
for
stole a
the
bird
Kia.
scooter, rewired it. We had
Yeah.
Higgy rewire it and give it to him. It's like a,
Well, really, it's like one of those little punch cards, right? So
oh
we give you a
yeah,
punch card to Starbucks.
yeah, there
Free
you
every
go.
seventh drink is free, and it
Yep.
has like 3 punches on it. So that's what you get here at the XFL.
Oh yeah, and it's like it's already half used. Like 2 of the 3 punches are already used.
Yeah, we got you taken care of. So guys,
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Like
we're
you get like a gift
glad.
card with like 577 on it. So like it was a one time $20, but they've already Nick's already used it for like
You're getting something for free.
yeah, there
You're
you
getting
go. That's
something.
true. That's true.
So
Well,
look, man. I want to thank everyone for watching. We're really happy we were able to bring you some good football, a new Super Bowl champion, and I had fun with you guys, man.
definitely. Yeah, Boone, it's a blast calling these last couple games with you. I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna hate myself in the morning. Tomorrow morning is gonna come like a brick to the teeth. But screw work and making money and everything. Really glad we could get this done. This was fun. I really enjoyed this, and I think it'll be one of the better Super Bowls that go down in history. So, XCFL. This is your boy Regan and Boone, and we'll be signing off for the night. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions about our league, feel free to check us out on Twitter at XCFL Network. You're already at our YouTube channel, so subscribe, like and all that stuff. And, drop a comment, say hi, and we'll follow up with you if you're interested in our league. We're Xbox League, Madden 20 right now, Madden 21 just around the corner. And looking forward to had 37 seasons now. This will be season 38 coming up on the docket. So keep an eye out for that draft broadcast. And like I said, thank you so much for tuning in. So, like Boone said, we appreciate you guys and everything you do. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And we will see you next time on XCFL Primetime Action here on XCFL Network.